Hey everybody, Sean here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in the Mega Man X Legacy Collection, grabbing the X-Treme Danger achievement. This is going to be done in Mega Man X3. It is to beat the final boss without picking up the Hyper Chip. I recommend punching in this password. This should put you right at the start of the end game stages, which is going to be the furthest you can go with the password. So you are going to have to play through Sigma stages 1 all the way through to the end of the game. So just get through Sigma stage 1. It's going to be pretty simple, minus the obvious, very tricky platforming bits that you have to worry about. But once you get past those, keep in mind you want to not pick up the Hyper Chip. So once you get to the fork in the road, make sure you take the straight path instead of jumping down, and then just continue on with the level, get to the final boss, and make sure you beat him, and then we can move on to Sigma Stage 2. Now, for Sigma Stage 2, I highly recommend going after the Beam Saber. This is going to be the same playthrough where we're going for that achievement, so we are just reusing that password. Or if you're doing this in the same playthrough, you can get both achievements during the same password use. So make sure you take out the mini boss using 0 to give X the Saber, which will really help out a lot with the boss fights you have to do in Sigma Stage 3, and that's pretty much just the boss rush as well as the fight against the Doctor Dude. But once you start up Sigma Stage 4, before going to the actual Sigma fight, I recommend standing at the start and farming as much health as you can. Make sure you fill up all 4 of your sub-tanks. The reason for that is you need a ton of health because Sigma is one of the few enemies that actually still does a ton of damage to you, even on Rookie Hunter difficulty. So make sure you get all those health ups you can get while you can. So the enemies just constantly respawn in this little opening hallway. Just walk back and forth, kill as many as you can, and pick up any health drops. Once you fill up all 4 tanks, you can proceed by climbing up these 2 ladders. Then you have a wall jump segment here. Cling to the right, dash over to the left, and then you have to do some up thrusts to get into the last boss room right over here. So just do that and get ready for the Sigma fight. It's going to be in 2 phases. The first phase, what you want to do is you want to equip the S-Blade weapon, and you want to attack him in between his attacks. So pretty much he'll drop his shield, and then all you have to do is just spam, and then when he has his shield up, just avoid attacking so you don't waste ammo. The first phase is actually pretty simple, and you should be able to get it done in about 45 seconds to a minute or so. The only annoying thing is if you die during the second phase and have to start the level over again, your weapon energies don't fill because, you know, Mega Man. So you probably have a better chance of just killing yourself, so you can just start the level all over again with full weapon energy, because this fight is pretty annoying to do with just the Buster since he hardly takes any damage and does a ton of damage to you on top of that. So whatever the case, just try your best to keep throwing those blades up. Make sure you get the timing right so you don't waste ammo, and then you should be good for the first phase. Now the second phase is even more annoying, and that's because of quintessential Sigma Phase 2 boss fight logic, which means you're fighting a large enemy with a very small hitbox. So his weak spot is going to be his head, so what I recommend doing is just wall jumping up the left side while charging up your shot. As you're sliding down, he is going to lunge forward at you, and then what you basically have to do is you have to hit him with the charge shot when he's next to you, and as you are parallel with his face. Now, if you can get the timing down right and you have the Beam Saber, you can hit him with the Saber and that will drain about a quarter of his health. So that's probably your best means of action. However, the timing on it is really tricky to get down. So you can just stick to charge shots if you want to play it safe. But other than that, all you have to do is just pretty much dodge his attacks. Even on Rookie Hunter difficulty, this fight is going to be quite challenging, which is why we farmed all those sub-tanks earlier. So make sure you take advantage of those whenever you take too many hits. But you are going to go through long stretches of the fight, not doing any damage to him, and maybe get one lucky shot off with the Beam Saber, and that's what you kind of want to hope for. So just keep those few notes in mind. It's a pretty simple pattern, although just like all the other Sigma fights from all the other X games, he does a ton of damage. So the main thing you want to avoid is going to be his beam attack, which will just shred your health bar apart if you stand inside of it for too long. So other than that, just keep jumping and shooting and hoping that you land that Beam Saber shot off, because that thing is a godsend. With 4 health tanks, you should be able to get through this fight. Personally, I was okay with about 2 or so, but just get the 4 just in case, because once again, going back to the beginning of the stage and having to re-farm health tanks because you didn't have enough is really annoying. So after doing your best to get through the fight, one good Beam Saber shot will do the trick. So once you manage to take him out, you should be good for 2 achievements. The first one for just beating him, called It's Over Right, for 20 gamer score, and then the second one for beating him without picking up that Hyper Chip for another 30 gamer score. There it is. And that's all there is to it.